The challenge in this existence, in this body, the challenge of consciousness in this body is to determine what arises as I. Please listen. The challenge of consciousness in this body is to be clear what arises as I. And why? Because I is a shapeshifter. It wears many different uniforms.
What bothers me all the most of the time when I want to stay in this present state is my thought.
Your thought.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I mean, I don't believe anything what they're talking to me, but they still come and dreams with me and always brings me out of this state, and I really don't know how to handle this. I think maybe I'm too weak. I'm not strong enough to just stay in that state of silence or in that state of presence.
It is really to do with the wrong identification also. Because however much it might feel that I have to do this, and also you have this thought that a thought can take you out. A thought can take you, it can remove your peace, that it has that power. It does not have the power. No thought has power. You have power. You have power, and when you identify and believe in the thought, you give power to this thought. If a thought has power, then it must have same power for everybody. Nobody could disagree, oh, this thought isn't powerful. If it has power, it means it has power in itself. It has power. So therefore, nobody can refute the power of this thought. But one thought may be strong for you, but to someone else it's nothing. So it's not the thought. It is the thinker. It is the thinker of the thought that gives power to the thought. It is the thinker of the thought, the believer in the thought, that gives the thought power. What is a thought? A thought cannot think itself. I said before, no thought is self-employed. It works only, has power, when it is in contact with the thinker. And then the process of thinking, you can say, becomes activated. Thoughts arising by themselves don't have any power. But when that thinker entity, idea, contact them, and that thinker is the idea that we have of ourselves, not the true self. Let us find out the thought is nothing without the thinker. Let's find out what the thinker is. Can anybody catch the thinker of the thought? Everybody's looking to the thought. Oh, look at this one. Oh, no, this one is even more strong. Look at that one. But who is the thinker of the thought? Who is the thinker of the thought? Can anybody find the thinker? Who is thinking thought? The thinker of thoughts is also a thought. The thinker of thought is also a thought. But it's not any regular little thought. It's not no common thought. This is a 5-star thought. Because it is more intimate to the being. Because the thinker of thought also arises as I. I believe, and the thought is causing me trouble. Thought is giving me so much problem. I want something different. I am tired of thoughts. Who is speaking these things? Who is speaking these things? You have to look, not assume. Everybody is assuming. This thinker is me. This thinker is me. And when you say this is me, you don't question, because you assume this is a fact. But here in satsang, it is questioned. Can you find the thinker? Nowhere else in the world anyone is asking you, who is the thinker? Investigate the thinker. Why? Because the thinker is assumed to be what I am. Here it will not do. We're looking. Huh? Many things that we think we know is only what you assume. You have not experienced, not clarified for yourself. So this one, this thinker of thoughts, which presently feels intimately to be yourself, to the extent that it feels, but how can I be a thought? Because I want to get rid of thought. Huh? How can I be a thought when I want to get rid of thought? So who is going to question this? I want to get rid of thought, so how can I be a thought? So this assumption stays hidden. It is hidden until you find out. Yeah. How are you going to find out? First, find if the thinker can be found. Keep quiet. See where the thoughts are rising from. Who is speaking them? Something says, oh, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Who is speaking them? Look and see if you can find it. It is not easy at first because you're unaccustomed to this type of question. We're used to asking questions which have an objective quality about it. Like, what color are these flowers? Ah, this one is sort of like red, and this one is so off-white. These are sort of objective questions, objective answers. But who is the one perceiving them? You say, well, it's me. Yes, but precisely what you mean by me. What is me? Who? Something inside feels, how dare you ask this question? You make me uncomfortable. Huh? Because nobody in the life asked me this question. Who am I? I am I. Yeah, I is what? Oh, no, don't. You make me uncomfortable. But here we begin to look, and something else is happening. And I encourage you, keep on looking. Because all the confusion in the world came because you missed the point. Misidentification caused all this trouble. Now we are going to look. And just out of looking, not fixing, not changing, just looking clearly, something is going to change. The orientation of seeing is going to change. A little twist of attention is going to cause big difference for you. Don't assume the challenge in this existence, in this body, the challenge of consciousness in this body is to determine what arises as I. Please listen. The challenge of consciousness in this body is to be clear what arises as I. And why? Because I is a shapeshifter. It wears many different uniforms. God says, I. The devil also says, I. You say, I. Is it same I? You have to find out. Now something arises. I am tired of the thoughts. They trouble me. This one is very subtle. Nobody looks, nobody questions. Very subtle. Who will question? He's been honest. He's been honest. He's been truthful. We respect this. No, but who is I? Don't assume. Don't identify. What I'm speaking with you, it will not become clear without grace. You cannot just use your mind and push with the mind. Something must also be open. Be willing to somehow let go. Don't hold any intention. Don't hold any definition of yourself. You have to be willing to find out cleanly, like this question is being heard for the first time. Then we see what is found. Because if you're holding old knowledge, old ideas in your mind, you will not have room to discover the fullness of truth. if we are holding on to old ideas, drawing a sense of security, of protection, but also holding on to vulnerability by holding on to old ideas because you think I have to know something, I have to hold on to something, because if I hold on to nothing, what happens to me? So initially, it feels talking about these things might bring a little bit of noise in your mind. Talking about these things, oh my God, you know, it sounds complicated. It sounds complicated to the mind because of the utter simplicity of what I'm talking about, what I'm pointing to. I'm pointing to that in you which is not constructed of thought, which itself observe thought, observe emotion, observe time, observe universe, observe belief, observe doubt, observe sadness, observes joy. All of these things are seen. Who is the seer of them? Now we have just exposed an idea that perhaps the idea of yourself as the thinker of thoughts and the doer of actions, if looked for, you may find it's only thought. It's mostly thought. It's mostly an identity based on thought. And why it is so intimate, why it feels so real, is because the thought is mixed with being. Listen, because the thought is mixed with being. Without being, thought, you would not even know about it. But because the being is always present. And it's this blend of being and identity with thought, and the identity with thought is giving off this confusion. I have to go through it and say these things. It will become increasingly clear for you. It's going to become so clear, it becomes effortless. Because what I am and what you are is effortless. It is effortless. And only what is effortless is natural. Meaning it doesn't depend on something else. It is shining by itself. And you are that. You are that. It is a good thing to hear this. But it will not be fulfilled until somehow it is confirmed inside you. And this confirmation comes through grace also. And grace is present. Because grace is another name for what you are. I don't want to teach you techniques. But we have to use words to redirect the attention back to the correct source. Because presently we are identifying with a lot of limitation. And you are taking the limitations to be what you are. You are not that. The limitations are also themselves thought-based. So I'm speaking these words to you now. I'm not asking you, get busy in your mind. No, relax. Because I'm not just speaking only to your mind. I'm speaking to that which knows these words intuitively. It knows this intuitively. It feels and resonates with them. Yeah. And gradually this will come more clear by itself. You see?